I think sharing for me is really important, and the more people that I was able to include in the story, the more I felt nurtured and loved and surrounded. But verbalizing a very traumatic story is hard to do more than once. So being able to do it by email and communicating through email and the responses back became what I call in the book a blanket of comfort in cyberspace, and it was really, really powerful. I could not have, being sick, I could not have really kept in communication with a large number of family and friends. You know, I had to be isolated with the chemo. You're not really going anywhere where there's a crowd, and your people visiting is very limited, so it became a way to stay in contact with a larger number of family and friends. And I didn't realize I was doing it for healing at the time, but it became very healing. Well, I was communicating in the deep trenches of my heart and soul, some pretty powerful stuff. And what I got back is people communicating from the same place in their heart and soul. And one, in fact, a doctor in Nashville at Vanderbilt wrote and said, even though my family has not been touched by cancer, anyone who reaches midlife is going to deal with adversity. And hearing your story helps us to know how to cope with it when it happens to us. So it became, sharing my story seemed to embrace other people and bring us all into a world together where maybe we could learn from each other and have some nurturing. And it was powerful, very powerful. I was able to write something once that went out to, at the beginning, 18 people, at the end of this book, 160 people, and now 500 people. And it really has become a phenomenon because people want to hear, want the next update from patient Siggy. And they love staying connected, and they come up to me when we're at a meeting or at a party or whatever and say, I just loved your last message. And so it became this growing way of being more connected with more and more people. And it started with close friends, but then it would be friends of friends, or maybe someone who had cancer, or someone who would be touched after the book was written, someone that was touched by the book. And because I do have a website and people can ask to be put on my contact list, and people do, and it's just become an ever-reaching community in a very simple way. I mean, the internet, I think, if it's done in a positive way, can expand your community in a way that's never been available before. And even, you know, when I wrote this book in 2005, the reach of internet was not where it is now. And using it to communicate has changed in the three years since. It has just really taken on in every business, in every walk of life. I mean, in books, there have been so many articles about authors no longer going on tour to little bookstores because they're going to do it over the internet. They're going to sell books, and they're going to have authors reach into cyberspace rather than reaching into Chicago. So it's a phenomenon that I was able to see firsthand what could happen by happenstance of sitting down and doing this without realizing what I was doing when I put together that first email to 18 friends. And it just has blossomed into something really beautiful and really powerful. for some reason, I have the ability in my writing to, first of all, it has a lot of immediacy, and I really open my heart and I let you in to the things I'm afraid of, to the things I'm experiencing, so that you have a really intimate picture after you read this book of someone going through 6 months or 8 months of chemo, the first diagnosis of cancer. So what the book does is, it's as if you are holding my hand and walking beside me as I have this experience. I had a journal with me from the first visit with the doctor and kept very, very immediate notes. It's one of the things John Siegenthaler asked about. He said, how do you, the detail in this book, he said, how did you put in all this detail? And I was writing it, you know, I would take my journal and so it's the immediacy of what I'm going through. So if you read this book, you really have the experience of someone who's gone through cancer, and then you have the freedom to talk to other people who are going through it too, because you've almost experienced it yourself. Before I had cancer, I really wasn't as aware of other people who had cancer. And until maybe if my best friend had cancer, I would have become more aware. But I didn't have a best friend that had cancer. So when I was going through it, I was raw and it was new to me. It was all new territory to me. But now that I've gone through it, it's sort of like there's a sisterhood of women that have gone through cancer. And I do think women can talk about these things more easily than men. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I mean, some men can, but a lot of men can't. But certainly among women, once you've been diagnosed, other women with cancer feel very free to share information. But until you've been there, it's hard. And I think what this book helps to do is it gets you there without having had the cancer. And it's not morbid. I mean, it's, as I say in my talk, the book is more about how to live than it is about having cancer.